But yeah, let's dive into communication today. And what is communication in a simple term? In a simple way, communication would just simply mean talking, making somebody know what you feel, what you say, what you know, and understanding your partner in a very simple way. I would say, if you don't talk about anything in your relationship, it's almost like you have nothing. You have no communication. So, in a simple way, communication can bridge a lot of gaps in many aspects of of your relationship. Because, as you understand, if you don't give time to your partner, and you don't really talk about life stuff in with your partner, it's just almost difficult to know your partner, to know your partner. So, how can we keep our relationship really running on without ruining our marriage? That is the main focus that we want to have today, because as you guys know, life is just so busy. Sometimes you just want to do whatever you feel like you can do in life, and sometimes you just feel like, oh, I don't really know what to do. I can't really do anything in life. I just can't talk to my husband. I just can't talk to my wife. It's just difficult. And one thing I want to tell you today is, if you can't really talk to your husband, is why don't you just go and find somebody that you can talk to, so that you don't have issues in your marriage? Because once you start keeping quiet in your marriage, it's almost like, yeah, we are not together anymore. It's like you are in a different world, and each of you is just living his or her own life, which is not what we desire. And we desire to always talk to our partner and make changes where we can change. And this is one thing that every single Christian has to really uh, get the depth of it, or the glimpse of it, because it's just very important in any relationship. Once you see somebody now talking or saying, saying, just not talking to the partner, know that there's an issue there. There's a problem there. And one thing that you can do to help cut that down or reduce that, and make life more easy for you, is just to tell how you feel. Tell your partner what you feel. Don't just keep quiet. If you have anything in your life that is going out, out, and it's not great, and it's making you frustrated, and it's making you life difficult in a relationship, the one thing that you have to go to is just talking. Let the person know. Keep them in mind, and just let them know. You don't have to keep quiet, because if you keep quiet, that would ruin your marriage. That would be the number one thing that will totally ruin your marriage, because we need things that can help us. We need things that can help us really bridge that gap and make that life more easy for everyone. Now, yeah, let's look at some of the key things that I wanted to talk about today. And as you guys know, we want to talk about effective marriage in our relationship. Now, how can we be effective in communication in marriage? Now, communication is really critical in any aspects of life, in any relationship. Sharing your life with someone, knowing what they feel, knowing what they really desire, knowing what they want, knowing what any single thing in life, is through communication that you get to know. And it's through communication that you get to understand how somebody is feeling. Now, effective communication is just not talking to you someone and then you say, "Oh, hello, good morning," stuff like that. Or it's just like greeting them every single morning. That is great. But also, we have to be more intentional in our communication, because sometimes life becomes so busy and we don't really use the right language. Now, effective communication comes when you use and you choose the right language to speak, especially when it's difficult, and especially when it's like coming into the moment where you just have difficulty in communicating with one another. A lot of marriages has been dismantled or ended up in divorce because we had no time to discuss stuff. We had no time to talk about stuff. Everyone just keeps busy, especially when your wife is working and you are also working. You feel like there's even no single time for you to talk about yourself. Don't forget that when you are in marriage, dating never stops. There's no single time that you say, "Yeah, today I'm stopping. I'm not gonna talk to my wife. Dating I stopped long time ago. I'm already in marriage." That is a bad thing. It's a bad thing to do. Refresh your marriage by talking about your partner. Refresh your marriage by talking about the main thing that you like about your partner. What are some of the things that your partner does that you love the most? Talk about that. What are some of the things that your relationship needs to develop? What are some of the things that you need to do so that your relationship continues and move in a healthy way? Because when you don't do that, it's almost like your marriage is not moving. It's like you're stagnant. You're there. You're just living the life that everyone else is living. How can you develop that intimacy through talking? How can you bring the flashback? I would, yeah, in the flashback, things that happened a long time ago that were so good in your life. How can you go back together and discuss that? How can you reinstigate the love that you started with in before you guys got married? How can you bring that back in your relationship? It's only through communicating and really being nostalgic a little bit about it and making it more interactive and more more conversational in time, where you don't just have to talk about critical issues only. Some people just wait to talk to their partner when they have issues, when somebody is misbehaving, when somebody is not understanding. That's when they want to come in and start talking and conversing with their partner. But I'm telling you, if you want to have effective communication, you have to pay attention to every single bit of your partner's life. You have to almost scrutinize, or I would say you have to almost look at your wife, look at your husband, the way they are every single day, and try to understand the different ways that people speak. And one of them is through verbal communication. The verbal communication is very important. And we know that very seriously, that when you talk with one another using words, I would say, some people are good at understanding that. And it's very good for your marriage that you have that ability to listen to your partner. Now, if you're using verbal communication, how can you make the communication more effective? First of all, the first thing that you two have to do is to learn to listen to one another. Learn to listen to one another. How can you listen to one another? If somebody is talking, you give them the chance to talk. If it is your turn, then you go on and respond. That is what we call effective communication. You don't have to talk over each other. That is a bad communication. When you're having issues, when you're having argument in the house, you have to talk to one another. Listen, be a good listener. Be a good listener. Somebody who doesn't listen will never ever be a good communicator. Because a good communicator is somebody who listens and listens well and listens well to every single thing that the partner is saying. Mind you, if you talk over each other, it takes you longer minutes. Research always says if you talk to one another or you talk over each other, it takes you more minutes to solve issues in your marriage, rather than somebody who talks to each other and listens to one another and wait to respond to one another. They take lesser time to solve their issues in marriage. That is what we call verbal communication, where you talk to one another and listen to one another. It's very, very important that life is is so strange that some people are extroverts, others are introvert. Now, the main thing that you have to understand is knowing your partner. Are they extroverts? Are they introverts? Are they more reactive or active? Stuff like that you need to understand. So getting to know your partner into detail is the key to making stuff move on as easy as quickly. Now, if you want to communicate in a very, very organized way, verbally, you have to make sure you understand your partner. What feelings, what turns that partner on? What are some of the words that if you say, you could see that, oh, this is not a an area where you have to go to. This is a place where you don't have to be at that moment. Now, marriage is just very easy and simple to some people, but without communication, it's just difficult for you to actually move and live a life that you desire in your marriage. Because many times we feel like, yeah, I've been in this situation, I've been in marriage many years, and I feel like, yeah, nobody can really help me in any way. I have problems and situations and stuff that I can really um, yeah, focus on in many aspects. But I tell you here that life is really important when you share with one another, when you share what you have in your heart with one another, using your words, using your aspect of life. What is, you have to let your partner know what is going on in your mind, what is going on in your heart, what is going on in all aspects of your life. Now, the main thing that I also want to you guys to understand is, with honesty, marriage verbally conversations comes with a lot of openness and honesty. Now, if you are not honest with one another and you don't give time to your partner to know, especially what feelings you have, what are the things going on in your life, it's just totally difficult. It's just totally difficult for anybody to to understand each other. But life gives you opportunity to basically just look at one another and make them understand and make them know um, what you feel about them. It's a very good process. It's a very good aspect of life where you want your partner to know every single thing about you, know every single angles of life, the things that you're thinking in your mind, the life that you're living in your life. You wouldn't be in position to get your partner or your wife if you had not discussed or talked about relationship. Everything in life comes together when you relate well, when when you talk about issues, when you bring things on the table. And life is easy when you two know exactly what you want to discuss, because it's really difficult to live in a marriage and stay in a marriage that nobody talks to one another. It's not fun. Like, seriously, if you're always the extrovert and the other one is just introvert and they don't talk completely, what a boring marriage would you have? Totally, it's not going to be a great marriage if you only one talking and only one trying to push with conversations. It has to be from both of you. It has to be from both of your angles where you understand one another and make it more clear, and yeah, bringing issues in the light. That is what I want to share a little bit. Now, another thing with honesty, it's something that some people find is really difficult to do. If you're not honest about every single thing in your marriage, then it's like you're pretending to be married. You don't really know that you're married, because if you're not honest with one another, it's almost like you're living a life that is not meant to be. Like, you went into marriage and you went into living a life together with someone totally you don't know. So the only thing that can bring trust and bridge the gap in between is just practicing how to communicate. You have to learn. You have to build each other and make it clear and make that person understand every single thing about you. If you don't share stuff verbally, it becomes an issue because nobody understands you. Now, this would lead me to almost practicing every single time, learning to know your partner, learning to know them, and like every time bringing stuff that you know about your partner, telling them, oh, you're beautiful, telling them, oh, I like this, oh, telling them, just being more proactive in many, many aspects of your love. You don't have to just wait for the moment that you're doing only good stuff, then you communicate. Effective communication is about learning your partner, letting them know the best thing that they do, letting them know the worst thing that they can do, being honest with every single bit of your word, every single bit of your action. Because it's just difficult. Life sometimes is so busy and you feel like, oh, I'm just from work. I've been teaching 1,000 times. I've been working, doing this, going here and there, and you don't have the time even to say I love you to your partner. Some people just only wait when it's time for intimacy. Then they say, "Oh yeah, this is the moment I can talk about things with my wife." You don't have to wait for that only moment. You have to be more proactive, more practicing, and more in action in many ways. Just bringing up stuff even unexpectedly. Letting someone know and bringing issues that can help them learn. As life goes on, you will continuously learn a lot of stuff in marriage. And one thing that you can do is learning your partner in a very good way. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is we talk about verbal. There are also some ways that people can communicate. It's not only verbal ways. One of the other easier way is, I mean, the more tricky step to understand is language, body language. Now, there's so many ways that women love to communicate with men. I feel like women are more proactive and more effective in communicating bodily compared to men. And it's very very important for women to communicate in a body language, showing that body language I would call it, like doing things to show that intention that you're supposed to do something. Meanwhile, for men, men just love to talk and say the things out loud. Okay, I would say men are literal in many ways of their communication, while women are more active in doing bodily language. Now, if you study your wife very well and you study your partner very well, and you can see the life that they're living and the body language that they're showing, the facial expression, the way they move, the way they sigh, the way they do stuff, it would be very important for you to react to that as a partner. As a man, sometimes you may not understand the implication of that body language, but it would be good for you to ask the person if you're not understanding and ask them, oh, I see you doing this. Are you intending something? Are you showing that something is supposed to be done? Because I can barely read your body language. It's okay to tell your partner that you're not understanding what the body language meant. But also, if you study your wife or you study your partner closely, that should be something that you learn over the years as you grow. You learn over the years as you move on. You get to understand what they desire. You get to understand exactly how their life, their body language, styles and skills come on. And it's okay to miss it. Sometimes you miss it. It's not that every single body language that your wife speaks, you're able to understand it. You got to give it time. You got to make it more more intentional and ask if you fail to understand it. Sometimes a wife may need you to go to the market, and they talk about it, and then later on they use their body language to let you know that something is missing in the family. Especially sometimes when the visitor comes and they don't want the visitor to understand some stuff. Some women can just technically use their hand, use their head, use their mouth, use their wherever body parts they can use to help you get what they really want you to do. So it's better for you to understand them as well, to really bring that aspects of life to them, so that communication runs on easily as well. That is one aspect. Body language is tricky, and sometimes it's just difficult to understand. But with with tribes and excuse me, with kinds of your relationship, it would be a good time for you to get into that. So we looked at verbal, and then we also have non-verbal communication, which is the body language that I'm talking about, and it helps in so many ways to understand life and stuff. But also, yeah, it's good to make sure that every single language that your partner speaks, you learn it. So verbal is one way that people really use in many aspects, and then non-verbal, that is the body language, where somebody uses their body to come up and show you uh, what they want. And then the last part that can enhance your effective communication is written communication. Some people are good at writing. Now, if you know that you're good at writing, it would be very, very important for any relationship. Sometimes people have pots. I've heard of people having like a drop box where you just have a box in your house, and somebody every morning or every other week drop in a letter to their husband or to their wife, and they just put it in there. You express your relationship in many ways. If verbal is not good for you and body language is not good for you, non-verbal is not good for you, put it in writing. Put it in writing and go on and just give it to your wife, give it to your husband. Express your feelings and let them know in writings, because that's one way you can communicate and being effective in not just keeping quiet. You don't have to keep quiet in your relationship, otherwise your relationship will almost die. You want to be more active and building up effective communication as possible, because if you are not talking in your relationship, you don't understand one another. They will always bring issues. There will be quarrels. There will be misunderstanding. There will be um, lots and lots of blind spots in your marriage. And that's what we want to get rid of. We don't want to have blind spots in our marriage. We don't want to have that even a tiny bit secret in our marriage. But it is all brought out clearly in your marriage, in your relationship through communication. So the three aspects of communication that I discussed today is very pivotal in many ways. One, verbal. If you can't do verbal, go for non-verbal. That is the body language. And if you can't go for non-verbal, go for written communication. Write about your wife. If you're a poet, write poems about your wife. If you don't know how to write, use the other two ways. Those are ways that can keep your marriage more active. We don't want to stay silent. We don't want to just keep quiet in our marriage. We don't want to make life just difficult because we can communicate in our marriage. There's no way that any marriage can move on without talking, without communication. 100% of people who are married started with talking, started with conversation, and you don't want to stop communicating in your marriage. That will lead to a very, very difficult life. That will lead to a lot of problems that you don't want to be in. You don't want to move in that, because that is that is a life that nobody in married want to live. You want to live a life that is more important, more enjoyable. You got to enjoy every single aspect of your marriage. And those are the three types of conversation or communication that I wanted you guys to look into. Now, effective communications begin through recognizing the great potential of words. There are words that you can use to show that you love someone, to show that you need them in your life. Now, just telling a woman you're beautiful, telling a woman you look so beautiful, that is one way to make the person feel more loved, make the person feel more loved. Give me a minute. So if you want to be shown love, you got to also show love to one another. And sometimes you show love to one another through telling them, showing them that they're valued, telling them that they're important in your life, telling them that you appreciate every single thing they're doing for the marriage, not just staying quiet and looking at your husband or looking at your wife quietly and not even doing any single thing for them. We want to be more effective in many ways, letting your partner know every single thing about yourself, being more active in telling them in three ways: writing, nonverbal, and also verbal, letting them know exactly every single feelings that you have. Because if you remain silent and you don't communicate, there's always be tension. There's always be tension where like somebody pushes one another to a different aspect. And you find like somebody's drawing away from one another, drawing away from one another. The more silent you stay, the more actually you will be um, moving far away from one another. So that is really, really important in many, many aspects. Now, another thing that I want us to, there's 6 reasons for effective communication in marriage. Now, why do we need to be more effective in our marriage? Why do we need to be more effective in our communication? Number one, it reduces misunderstanding. If you communicate well in your marriage, the thing is, it reduces almost the amount of arguments you're going to have in your relationship, because it's almost 0% argument if you let your partner know every single thing about you. If you let your partner understand what is going on in your mind, if you let your partner understand the feelings that you have at that moment. So, having effective communication helps to reduce misunderstanding. For sure, you're going to have misunderstanding in many, many aspects. You can live a life with two humans in a home and you think you're not going to have arguments. It's going to be there, it will be there. But the most important thing is, how do you communicate so that you can reduce the amount of misunderstanding that you have? Imagine you want to move or you want to go somewhere, and then you happen to go without telling your partner. And then your partner realizes all of a sudden they're calling you and it's like, oh, asking you where are you? And you said, oh, I'm already in Kampala or I'm already in the US. Like, why didn't you tell me that you're going somewhere? That only alone, because you didn't tell them about that, it brings a big issue in your marriage. Not even just telling them where you're going, just telling them what time you're gonna be back home. Like telling them what time you're gonna um visit somewhere. Like what time you're gonna do wherever you. Almost just making things easy by telling your partner where what is going on in your marriage, where you're gonna be in a few minutes or where you're gonna be in a few hours. What is the plan? It reduces the amount of misunderstanding that you have. So effective communications really helps in reducing misunderstanding in so many ways. I can give you a better example. There was a scenario where um, a person, one husband actually left for one part of the world one time, and what really happened is the person um, was trying to be sneaky, and they never told their wife that they were going to Kampala. They just he told them they were going for a workshop in town, but he ended up going to Kampala or going to a different city. So on the way there, they had accident, and because he didn't tell the wife knew the husband was in town. So what happened is, tragically, this person got injured and was put in rush into hospital, and he died. Now, this story is just something that happened, and it was devastating. It was frustrating because this wife, after realizing that the husband died, she was shocked because she knew the husband was in town but had not gone anywhere. So this caused a lot of issues in the wife's mind, and she thought, yeah, my husband wasn't trusted, and brought this lot of misconceptions, a lot of mistrust as well in her mind, because she thought she knew her husband. She thought the husband was always being honest and telling her exactly what goes on in his life. But lucky he wasn't really saying anything. He wasn't really telling the wife anything. Now he ended up going somewhere else and later on falling into an accident, and he died. Now, this shows the level of misunderstanding, the level of mistrust that people have in relationship. Now, if you can't even tell your wife where you're going, why do that? It will bring a lot of issues. That is not good. So make sure you reduce the amount of misunderstanding by being open and being honest to your husband and to your wife in many ways. Now, another thing that effective communication can also do is it builds respect and trust. I just talked about it. If you communicate well, it builds your trust in one another. Making somebody know that you're leaving, making somebody know that you're doing something is not a problem. That can help to build trust. So if you communicate well, it helps somebody to trust you and respect you because they know they have your word. They know they have your word. They can trust you with every single thing they tell you. If you speak to one another, you learn a lot of things. You learn so many things about your partner. If you talk about things, you also learn a lot of things about your partner. So let's really make it important. Let's make it really enjoyable, and let's build the trust and honesty by communicating well. Now, learning how to communicate with honesty is difficult. How do you learn to speak to one another? I said, when I'm speaking to you as my husband or as my wife, I want to see your face. I want to have that eye contact with you. That shows that you're interested in that conversation. You're interested in talking to that person. But if I'm talking and you're on your phone, I'm talking and you're looking somewhere else, that shows lack of interest, and that can bring the dishonesty and trust. That almost shows that you're not interested in what I'm saying. You're not interested in whatever I'm saying or telling you. The main thing that you can do is to really talk to somebody and show that you're interested in what they're saying. You're interested in the topic that you're talking. Let me know in the comment, what are some of the ways that you feel like you can communicate with? What are some of the ways that you feel like you're good at communicating with? Do you like verbal? Do you like non-verbal? Do you like written? If you like any, what? How can you make it effective? How has it worked for you in your marriage? Let me know in the comment what you think about that. But also, if having effective communication helps you so much to reduce misunderstanding, and it helps so much to bridge and build that trust and honesty between you and your husband, between you and your wife. It's one thing that you can run away from. No communication, no marriage. That's what I can say. For a healthy marriage to be elevated, the only thing that we can do is talking to one another, talking to one another about what you feel and how you feel and what you need to live your life. Now, another good thing for effective communication is um, it keeps you, there's no need to keep you guessing what is said. Now, if you talk with one another often, You leave no room for guesswork. You already know what your person has talked about. You know the questions that your husband or your wife has asked. You know them. You don't have to guess what they're gonna say. You don't have to keep to be in the blank, to be left in the blank. It becomes more easy for you to understand your partner because you have been talking about it. You've been very clear in what you're saying. So helping you um, to talk to one another almost cuts every guesswork that you have. Almost you don't have to guess what the other person thinks because you have been talking for the whole week. You've been understanding one another for the whole week. It leaves no room for guesswork. If your partner guesses and you leave your partner in dilemma every time thinking about, oh, what is he gonna say? Oh, what did he say? That that is almost um, putting potatoes in an oven and then you leave it there and nobody cares about it because you have not told your husband to check the oven one day when you put your potatoes in the oven. Your oven may burn or your potatoes will burn because your husband doesn't know whatever you're doing in the kitchen. So leaving no room for guesswork. If you communicate well, you don't have to guess wherever your husband says or wherever your wife says because you already know your husband, you already know your wife. So let's do that and make our communication more effective in many ways. Now we are just looking at the importance of communication. So we already look at three key stuff. The next thing that communication can help is to increase self understanding. Also, the more you communicate with your partner, you get to know more about yourself. When your partner talks to you about your lifestyle, what you do, and how you feel, you get to know more about yourself. That, oh, whenever your husband says this, it is triggers certain emotions in your life, and you get to know that, oh, these are the things that also makes me mad, that makes me sad. And the only way for you to know yourself fully is by also talking to your husband, letting them know, let them tell you about your life, let them tell you how you look, how you feel, and what are the stuff that you feel like you're struggling with. Let them know, because when you let them know, it's more easy for you to also assess yourself and understand yourself in many ways, and it helps you also to know more about yourself. That is one way to be effective, because if you don't talk, it's almost like you don't know anything about your life. And by talking, by communicating effectively, letting your husband tell you more about yourself, in the other way around, you're also learning more about yourself, which is a good thing. Everybody wants to know who they are. Everybody wants to know who they are exactly in many ways. And there's only one thing that you can do is to talk about it. That is one aspect. So effective communications really helps you to know more about yourself in many ways, and increase self-understanding. Um, excuse me. It also enhances marital satisfaction. Satisfaction is just something couples communicate effectively, have many chances of doing stuff together. And if you're married, sometimes you feel unsatisfied. How can you feel unsatisfied? Because if your partner is not talking to you in many ways, I would say it becomes almost like you're in your own place, your husband is in the other place, you're almost not together, living your life. As long as you're in the same house, but it feels like you both of you are living in different world because you're not talking. So in marriage, the key values that you want to have is to communicate. The less you communicate, the more issues you're going to have in your family. The more you communicate, the lesser issues you will have in your marriage. I tell you, with experience being married 5 years, I tell you, if we had not been communicating in so many ways, trust me, we would have been. not together anymore. But because we communicate often, I feel like we have learned more about each other. We have learned ways how to solve issues in our marriage. We have learned how to um, how to talk about things that are affecting our marriage. We have learned so many things that I feel like if we had not been communicating, life would have been so difficult. You can't live without communicating, and also getting to know your partner while you communicate in many ways, understanding them well, pushes and brings that relationship, that start of relationship that you had before, it brings it back. Because I know some people say once you're ready in marriage, some people just stop dating. Dating helps a lot. Even if you're married, you still want to talk to your partner, you still want to get to know them. You still want to have that moment where you laugh, you smile, you enjoy, you play together, have fun together, and just enjoy one another. It's all through communication, getting to know what your partner wants, what your partner feels, how to help them learn about themselves. It's really effective all through communication. And that's one aspect that I really like about these communication issues. Now, the health benefits that you also get from communicating, you almost have a peaceful mind, like, because when you when you know that your wife knows where you are, your wife knows what you're going to do in the day, your family knows what you're going to do with the kids, what plan do you have for the day. It's almost like a free space in your mind where you don't have to also think about so many things, because your husband or your wife is helping you settle those issues in mind. You almost have a free space in your mind where you don't have to reason so many things, because you two have been communicating. You have to make a list, like make stuff where, like, my husband is going to be in town today, or my husband is going to work. What time is he coming back? It helps you in planning. But if you all go wherever and do what you want in many ways and nobody knows what they're doing, it's almost your family in a mess. It's almost like your family is in a mess because nobody's understanding what each one is doing. And that makes life difficult. It gives a lot of stress in people. You'll be more stressful if you don't know what your husband is doing. You'll be more stressed if you don't know what your wife is doing. So it's always better. It's just better for you to tell your partner every single thing and talk about it. What work are you going to do? How can we bring in more money in our family? How can we bring in more people? And how can we parent our children? How can we discipline our kids? How can we do whatever in our marriage? It's just life without communication is difficult. I tell you from experience, it's just difficult if you don't talk about stuff in your life. I've heard of people having excuse me, having arguments every single day, every single week, just because they don't communicate, just because they don't trust one another. They don't talk about things. Almost every time you're on phone, please, 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 this phone has brought a lot of issues in marriage. Instead of communicating, you find somebody's in their phone looking at WhatsApp, looking at Facebook, doing wherever, YouTube. You don't have time for your partner. You just do whatever you feel like you can do. And like, if your partner is talking to you, you're on the phone instead of like sitting and facing them and seeing them and saying, yes, we have to do this. You have to really talk about this. When you're talking about issues of finance, you're talking about issues of raising kids, you're talking about issues of life, love, um, church, reading the Bible and stuff. Some people are just on their phone. You're talking to them, they're still on their phone. That is not effective communication. That is a bad communication skills. When somebody's talking to you, you have to turn up, look at them, give your eye to them, let them see what you're feeling, what you're looking at. Sometimes you can see you look at somebody's eye and you also know that they're lying. Look at your partner. Look at them the way I'm looking at you and tell them exactly what you feel. Exactly what you're seeing in their eyes is what you feel. That is something that feels and bridges the gap that you have in between you. Don't let phones get in your relationship. Don't make phones to become like your partner. Let the phone be a medium where you use it for some other stuff, but communicate. Let your partner know. If you use the phone for texting and messaging about your wife, that's great. That's one way you can use the phone effectively to breach your marriage. Don't let a phone become something that deter you from understanding your wife, from communicating with your wife. That is one thing that I wanted you also to understand. So, marriage without communication is almost like life without water. It's almost like marriage without a partner. So, let's make that model one way. So, one way we can model the principles of effective marriage is just like listening. I already talked about that. Listen to your partner. Don't just talk over them. When they're talking, listen to them, give them your attention, look at them, focus, and let them know that you're interested in what they're saying. Be a part of that. Be a part of the conversation. Don't just brush your partner away when they're talking about stuff. Try to understand what they're saying and make it part of your life that you want to understand them. Show them that you're interested in what they're saying. And that makes life so easy for you. That makes life so simple and easy. So understand that. Be a model of a good listening. Listen well, and they will listen to you as well. If you don't do that, you will always end up in argument. Choose to be more genuinely interested in what they're saying. Just be genuine, focus, and let them know that you're interested. Don't just pretend that you're listening, being on your phone, not giving them the attention. That can ruin your marriage. Write to your spouse. Write a letter. Don't just write a letter only when you're dating. Write a letter to your partner. Write a message to your partner. That can help in solving issues in your marriage. That can help to reduce the gap that you have in your relationship. Write a letter to them every single day. Show them that you care. Write that you love them. Write them what you're seeing, what you're feeling in your marriage. Write to them every single day if you can, every single week. Let them know. Show them that you care. Your husband or your wife. Be more passionate and tell them how to feel. Schedule regular time, free time where you go just to the two of you sitting and talking and just enjoying life, reminiscing life. I mean, almost going back to the ways that you had just started your marriage. Don't just let go because now you're married and you don't want to enjoy your life. Let the kids be with some other person. You two go and enjoy your life. Just encourage and talk. You don't have to even talk about serious stuff. Just enjoying one another. That's the one way you can communicate. Having time, spending time together with your partner, not caring, not thinking about kids, leaving the kids with the grandparents or neighbors or wherever people you can trust to take care of your kids. Go out and just spend your time together, love one another, and show all the moments that you miss. Create that moment and let it be a part of life that you will enjoy, and you will enjoy because you're giving your time, you're investing in your marriage. If you don't invest in your marriage, trust me, your marriage will fail. You will end up in divorce because you're not putting so much effort to to develop your marriage, to show that you care about the marriage that you're in. Don't be this strong, old, how can I say, ancient man who just only wants to do whatever he wants to do. That is not marriage. Communicate well with your partner. Let them know exactly what you two want in your marriage. Be open, be honest, love and care, and be passionate about developing your relationship. Be passionate on what you feel like is the root of your marriage. Read your Bible together. Sit, enjoy, worship God, pray together. Have that fun moment together. As a man, organize and just feel free to love on your partner. Don't leave your partner in the blue. Don't leave your partner in the dark. Be open to them. Just be free, communicate, tell them what you feel, tell them how you feel, tell them your emotional struggles, tell them every struggle that you have, every stress that you have, everything that is in the family that is not working well. Tell them, let them know. be a part of your family. As a man, as a woman, be that strong pillar that always stands for the family, that always stands for every single aspect of communication that you need to do. Watch your wife, watch your husband. What kind of body language do they have? What are they showing with their face? What are they showing with their eyes? What are they showing with their hands? What are some of the things that you see in them that no one is seeing? Tell them, let them know. Don't just be quiet. Don't just say, "Okay, yeah, I'm married now. I'm just okay with life. Whatever my wife does, I don't really care about it." It's almost like you're not into the marriage. Invest in your marriage to reap a good outcome in your marriage. Be part of that. Never let go of every single thing that you have in your marriage. Um, yeah, we're almost heading towards the end. If you have any comment, let me know in the comment, and then I will get into your comment right about now. So one thing that you need to avoid is the surface level of conversation. Don't brush your wife's conversation away. If they have something that is interesting and you feel like you're not interested in, don't brush them away. Just give them time to talk and listen. Design a central location where all of you have a basic thing that you love to do. Go for dates and stuff like that. So, in other words, I would say there are very many ways you can communicate and make your relationship more effective, and that would be so important in so many ways. If you have any question, let me know in the comment. If you have anything, I have one comment here. Let me see exactly what it is, then we can also move on. If you have your comment there, let me know, and give me your feedback on that. I have one here from, yeah, Dan Ochola is saying, I am waiting for the show. Yeah, this could be the few minutes. I started a little bit late. This could be the few minutes that I before I had come in. He also said something here. Communication is like a bridge that connects the two soul, and if you practice it well during dating, it can enhance the way one feels about someone, as in the way you will feel if your spouse needs. So that's really important, Dan. Thank you so much for for your comment. I understand you and I hear you, and I agree totally with you that conversation and communication bridges a lot of gaps in marriages. It's just so many things that conversation can fill in. It can reduce so many stuff. Um, in marriages, and I agree totally with you. For you to connect well in many aspects of marriage, you have to really talk. You really need to communicate and make it a priority every single day. Don't just come home and throw your bags down and straight away rush into shower or go bathe and just go to sleep without talking to your husband or talking to your wife. So that would be a very, very bad thing to do. So I really agree with you. For connection, if you want to connect so well in many aspects of your life, you have to talk, you have to communicate, let your husband know, let your wife know what you're feeling and how you feel. That can also help you under a lot of issues in your marriage, I tell you, in many many ways. So yeah, like basically that is very important. That's the only comment I have. If you have any comment, yeah, let me know in the comment. Also, what do you feel about communication in marriage? What is the key thing that you feel like is really important in marriage as far as communication is concerned, and how well can you communicate, and how effective can you make communication in your marriage? What are some of the practices that you can do, or you can have to help elevate your marriage to the next level? Because that's my key. As Christians, we want to have that moment of life where you feel you desire one another, and you appreciate one another, and you have love for one another, and you continue moving in the right direction in many ways. Communications is a topic that can go on and on and on for many many years, and for many many topics and episodes, as I tell you. But I'm lucky and happy that at least you got something. For those ones who are going to watch later, don't forget to subscribe to Tummy Bear TV, and go and watch all the episodes of the podcast that we have in the in the channel. So we have about 8 episodes now. So go on to Tommy Bear TV and subscribe and be part of this show every Saturday. We also bring a lot of latest news in Uganda, in the world, in the US, so many stuff around. So don't forget that. We only do podcasts. The podcast is just part of the show that we have every Saturday, but in our show as well, we have so many stuff that we bring into you. Yeah, in the channel. So don't forget to subscribe and be part of the TV show every Saturday. This podcast will talk about so many things, relationship and marriage, and other aspects of church activities that happen. But we're going to develop it and make it more interactive. Bring many guests here. Bring other guests that wants. If you also want to be part of the podcast and discuss your story, yeah, you can DM me also on my email. There you have it on the channel. So go on to Tommy Bear TV and tell me if you want to be part of the show and discuss your story. Open to that. We can see how virtually we can do it. Um, as most of you know, yeah, I'm here in the US, so it's sometimes the time difference matters, but we shall be able to make it happen. If you want to be part of the show and discuss your story in your relationship as a Christian, I'm open to getting people from all around the world to be part of it. So yeah, thank you so much. I guess if I have nothing and I have no comment, very we can go ahead and and conclude. The last thing that I want to tell you, um, your marriage is your marriage. Your life is your life, and your life is all based on whatever you do on earth here. Wherever God has given you, go on and be be glad about it. Pray about your relationship. Make Jesus be the center of your marriage. Make communication be the second thing that happens the most in your marriage. Love one another. Show your love to your partner. Be a good partner. Respond to them. Respect them, and make a good choices. Make good choices. Don't argue over others. Don't talk over other. Um, over one another. I mean, um, make communication and listening a key. When somebody's talking, listen. Be respectful. Don't talk over each other. Then you will have a successful marriage. You have a good communication. Make sure you know your partner. Try to learn them. Try to know what makes them mad. Try to learn what makes them angry. What makes them happy. What cheers them. What makes them happy. And like every single thing about your partner, try to learn it. Be a part of it, and you have a very, very good marriage. Never forget to appreciate your husband. Never forget to appreciate your wife. Never forget to be a part of your wife, alive and learning them. Just be that person for them. Be the person that if you're away, they miss you. Be the person if you're going somewhere, they miss you so much. Be that person where you feel like life without that partner is difficult. Life without that person is almost like no life. That's what I can tell you as we summarize this session. Talk about stuff in your relationship. Don't argue over each other so many times. You will have time where you argue so badly, but good communication can always reduce that arguments. That good connection that you have, the trust and the belief and the love that you have between you two can always reduce every single aspect and doubts that you have about your wife or your husband. So that is what I can say. Thank you so much for being part of the show, and thank you so much for being part of this podcast. Enjoy and share, if like, and also, let everyone know that we are always here every Saturday at 1 p.m. USA time, and wherever time you are. Maybe you're going to bed, sleep well when your time comes, and I'm happy that you're here with me. Thank you so much for enjoying the show. We meet again. We shall meet again next Saturday, and we shall bring you lots and lots of good stuff. As you guys know, next week we shall have another topic that will be interesting as well. I will let you know choose the week in the channel. Go on, and then you'll be part of it as always. And I will probably let you know it in many aspects and be within the week what we're going to discuss. But thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for being part of the show. And I'm happy that you're there. And continue watching and be part of the Tammy Bay TV. Let the people know that we are always on every Saturday. And subscribe if you have not subscribed.